Kangi duze nye sone, tawa tamje pangbe shir, tambe che ne tenze ba, kodam de la chaze lo. Oje ye no jang zang, pema kesar tongbo la, yang zin cho ge ngo zho nye, pema chung ne she su da, kurdo kando mangbe kor. Ke ge je so da, du ge jingge lab je she so so, guru pema se de, Maje suje benchen bima la layan sipa sungwe su tenji nyingwe tenpa pela datewa pema nubi shabla sowa de. Good morning, everybody. Today, in the continuation of yesterday's teaching on Lord Buddha's doctrine, I would like to today clarify or make some more clarification, more details about the difference between the yanas, Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana, and followed by the essence of Buddhism. Because Lord Buddha has taught so many varieties of teachings, diverse. So sometimes like we get confused that the teachings are so vast and so profound that sometimes we get lost. And as a result of that, it's important that we know what is the essence of Buddhism so that we can practice easily. And even if we explain to people who want to know about Buddhism, we can explain in a easy and simple way. Before actually speaking on today's topic, once again I would like to remind everyone of the importance of the right motivation. When we say motivation in Tibetan, one of the great masters have beautifully put, like, the Tibetan word for motivation is kunlong. Kunlong. Kun means every kind of, like, every different kind of thought. Kun. And here particularly, actually kun means everything. And when we say, particularly when you say related to motivation, when we say kun, then we are talking about all different kind of intentions. Now, then the second word is long. Long is like to kind of arise or to arouse or to generate. So we have so many thoughts, like when we listen to the teaching, or whatever we do in our daily life, whatever activities we may engage in. Purposely, we are speaking here about intention. So intention. So we have so many different kind of intentions when we engage in any activity. So out of those many intentions, try to arouse or generate one particular intention, which is kind of important, which is wholesome, which is perfect. So therefore, now what we need to select amongst the many intentions or many motivations, different thoughts, it's important to generate the vast motivation of Mahayana. The vast motivation of Mahayana means not to think of one's own kind of purpose or one's own aim or one's own wish, but to think of all sentient beings, to think of their benefit, to think of their welfare, and with that kind of concern, then we need to generate this mind, that is the right intention. So the right intention is, as I explained yesterday, the right intention of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the aspirational mind, the mind that aspires to achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that is bodhicitta. So it's very important to generate this. So let's try to think of it and generate the mind of bodhicitta, and then listen to the teaching. Now, yesterday I spoke about a little bit about what constitutes Lord Buddha's teaching. What are the different levels of teaching Lord Buddha taught, and why he taught different levels of teaching? Why they are not contradictory, but they are conducive, they are compatible with each other, and the ultimate purpose of whatever Lord Buddha taught is to lead all sentient beings to Buddhahood, ultimate Buddhahood. So now, to speak a little bit more about the Hinayana, or the lower vehicle teaching, the view of the lower vehicular teaching. Now, first of all, it's very important to know the view, because view is like the eye, the eyes. Because when we look at things, like first we look with our eyes, and then we get a mental picture, right? In the same way, if you don't have the right view, then what follows, like meditation, conduct, and fruition, what follows the meditation, conduct, and fruition kind of like, it affects, like, you know, if you have the right view, then the meditation and conduct and fruition will also be right. Whereas if the view is not correct, then meditation, conduct, and fruition will also be affected. So therefore, now it's important to know what is the view of Hinayana. Now, as I mentioned yesterday about the purpose or the aspiration of a Hinayana practitioner. The aspiration of the Hinayana practitioner is the self-liberation. That means moksha or nirvana. That means I want to achieve liberation or salvation or moksha or mukti, whatever term that we may use, which means that I don't want to be in this cycle of birth and death. I want to break this chain, the chain of birth and death, so that I don't need to again come to samsara and suffer. So therefore, it's very important that we know what is the intention of, what is the motivation of the practitioner, the Hinayana practitioner. So because their aim is liberation, because their aim is self-liberation, then the next step they will need to work on is like, what is the root cause of samsara? Because if somebody wishes to achieve self-liberation, it is very important to know like what leads to, what is the most kind of like, you know, important or the most crucial or obstacle, what is the greatest obstacle to liberation, and what is the cause, the root cause of being born in samsara. So that is, it's very important for a Hinayana practitioner to know this. So therefore, when they analyze, when they examine, and they find out, or Lord Buddha, even Lord Buddha has taught that the greatest obstacle to nirvana, the greatest obstacle to self-liberation is the negative emotions. Now, when we say negative emotions, it's important to know what are the negative emotions. So the negative emotions, there are many of them in our minds. So therefore, like, however, the three main or principal negative emotions are ignorance, attachment, and aversion. Or sometimes it has been put like ignorance, attachment, or desire, and anger, or sometimes hatred. So however, now we have these three poisons. In Tibetan we say tuksum, that means three poisons. So what are the three poisons? First is ignorance, then the second one is attachment, and third one is aversion, right? In Sanskrit we have rag, dvesh, and moha. Rag is attachment, dvesh is anger or hatred or aversion, and then moha is the ignorance. So out of these three, now what is the, again, out of these three, what is the root? So what is the root is the ignorance. There is a Buddhist kind of art, a picture which shows the wheel of life. So if you just kind of, how to say, look at the picture, you'll find that in the middle of the picture you'll find like a pig, and then a bird and a snake. So pig signifies ignorance, and the snake signifies anger or hatred or aversion, and then the bird signifies how to say, the desire or attachment. And beautifully, what is like clearly mentioned in the picture is like, from the pig's mouth and from the pig's tail, these two kind of emerges, the other two emerges, the bird and the snake, which means that the ignorance is the root of these three. Out of these three, ignorance is the root. Now, you might wonder, what is ignorance? Ignorance is not just lack of information. Ignorance here means the lack of knowledge of oneself. That means the lack of knowledge of the nature of oneself. That means we, for example, we as individual, for example, I as an individual, I feel that I as an individual am independent. I am an independent identity. Like, for example, I'm Sonam Sewang. So I feel that, okay, I'm Sonam Sewang, and deep in my heart and in my mind, then I have this feeling, a very strong feeling that I'm Sonam Sewang, and somebody calls me Sonam Sewang, then I just respond. And sometimes when somebody praises me, somebody says good words to me, nice words, kind words to me, I just feel elated. I feel proud. I feel happy, joyous. But at the same time, like when somebody hurts me, somebody says some bad things about me, somebody abuses me, then I feel very low. I feel hurt. At that moment, like we have a very strong sense of, and very independent, strong sense of identity. Something hard, something substantial, something deep within us. So that way of thinking that I or the person exists independently, substantially, without relying upon any causes and conditions, relying upon any factors, we feel a strong sense of solid, concrete, substantial I. So that is what is called the ignorance. That is a strong grasping upon oneself. So the strong grasping upon oneself, from that, then we divide, because actually there's no such independent identity as we feel, I mean, like that it exists within us. So like, because of that, then we divide everything into two, like, okay, I, my, mine, and then we have on the other side, others, right? So based upon that, there is a division. A division is created based upon that thought. And that due to that division, I have attachment. I'm attached to I, my, and mine, and I have sense of indifference or sometimes even aversion towards others. So you can see like how our mind play kind of like game on us, like how it tricks us. First of all, like that strong identity, sense of identities, strong sense of feeling of I, concrete sense of which actually kind of does not exist the way it appears to us, the way we feel it to appear to us, or way we perceive it to exist. And then from that, like starts like division, like this division of myself, oneself, and others, and oneself and others, and then based upon that division, then how to attachment to oneself and aversion to others. So therefore, like this division is created. So based upon that, then all the other negative emotion arises. So now we should know what is the root cause of samsara, that is ignorance. So for a person who wishes self-liberation, it's very important to know the root cause of samsara. So then through listening to one's teacher, through studying, through contemplation, through meditation, then based upon that view, when one searches within, and one does not find that substantial I, that concrete I, that solid I, which is independent, which is not relying upon any other factors. And when we come to know that this does not exist, this is just kind of an illusion, a delusion, then from that wisdom arises, and that wisdom kind of like destroys that division that we have created, right? And when the division has been destroyed, there's no way for the negative emotions to arise. So therefore, like it's in the process of like, first you should have an understanding based upon listening and contemplation. Then when you have certainty, then you meditate upon it again and again, again and again, because we have very strong habits. So once we kind of like really perceive, like not just like conceptual understanding, but kind of true knowledge, I mean a true realization, when we directly perceive that definitely, I mean like I does not exist the way it appears to me or others, then gradually the negative emotions can be raised. And as a result of that, through practice, then all the habitual kind of negative emotions are also kind of erased, as a result of which one achieves nirvana, right? So one can break the chain. In that process, one can break the chain of cycle of birth and death, break the chain of birth and death. So this is just one part of many differences within the, that this is one aspect of the Hinayana path, the path of those who aspire to achieve self-liberation. Now we go to the second part, that is Mahayana path. The Mahayana path is like, yesterday I mentioned about the compassion aspect and the bodhicitta aspect of the Mahayana, whose kind of like ultimate aim is not just self-liberation. The ultimate aim is like the supreme enlightenment, that too for the benefit of all sentient beings. So for those practitioners, the Mahayana practitioners, they need to the view of a Mahayana practitioner is kind of like much greater, because the purpose and the motivation is bigger. As a result of that, the view is also kind of like much more vast. Now you would ask, like, what is the difference between the view of Mahayana and the Hinayana? So the view of Hinayana, just as I explained about the concept of no self, the concept of non-existent, concept of the non-existent or not inherently existing self, right? There is no inherent existing self. So therefore, now for the Mahayana practitioner, just as the self does not exist independently, in the same way, all phenomena, whether it is this table, whether this is the whether it is the laptop or the house that we see, or the world that we perceive, the universe that we perceive, the beings that we perceive, the contents, whatever objects that, apart from the self, whatever objects that we perceive, each and every phenomenon, that means all phenomena does not exist, inherently exist on its own. So that view is much vaster. So because of that view, that understanding, it brings about a realization where one perceives, where one kind of like realizes that just as the self does not exist on its own, in the same way, all phenomena does not exist on its own. So then what is this that we see? What is it that we perceive? They are just illusions. So therefore, that kind of view is called the view of the Mahayana, which speaks about the two levels of selflessness: the selflessness of individual and the selflessness of all phenomena. Now you would ask, what is the function of that wisdom? Because whatever you have, whatever negative emotions that you have can be eradicated by the first view, the view of the non-existent, the view that self does not, the person or the individual does not exist. If that is the case, what is the function of the wisdom that realizes the selflessness of all phenomena? So just as we have negative emotions, all these are called the obscurations. We talked about three poisons, right? Three poisons and other negative emotions which arises from all these, arises from the three negative emotions. All these negative emotions are classified as the obscuration to liberation. Obscuration to liberation. So obscuration to liberation can be eradicated by the wisdom that realizes the selflessness of individual. Now we have another level of obscuration, which is much more subtler, and this is called the obscuration to omniscience. That means like liberation is one level, and enlightenment or the omniscience, the complete omniscience, full enlightenment is another level. So therefore, when we generate the wisdom that realizes the selflessness of all phenomena, then what happens is like it helps us to overcome or clear away the obscuration to omniscience. So as a result of that, we are able to achieve the full or supreme enlightenment, and as a result of that, we can benefit sentient beings in a vast way. Now here, compassion has also a very big role to play. So right now I'm not going to too much detail because I have to cover the other two topics as well. So therefore, like just kind of like try to understand that, okay, the Hinayana view is the knowledge or the perception or the wisdom that realizes the selflessness of individual. That is the view, the most important kind of view of the Hinayana practitioner. Now, what is the view of the Mahayana is the wisdom that realizes the selflessness of not only the individual but all phenomena. Okay, so I mean, like, so try to understand in that way. So the Mahayana view and the Hinayana view and the progressing Mahayana view. Now you would ask me, what is the view of the Tantra? Is it different from the general Mahayana view? Now there are many kind of interpretations in the different schools of thought in Tibetan Buddhism. I would like to mention one of the view of Tibetan Buddhism, the Nyingmapa's view, the view of the ancient translation school. So according to the Nyingmapa's view, definitely there is the difference of view in the general Mahayana, between the general Mahayana and Vajrayana. The Vajrayana's view is much higher. Now you would ask, like, what is the Vajrayana view? So to put it briefly, like, I don't want to go into much detail because, you know, it is not advisable. I mean, like, just have to have an understanding that the view of Vajrayana is called the pure perception. Definitely it speaks about emptiness just as Mahayana speaks, but the main speciality of Tantra view is the view of pure perception. That means to view each and every phenomena as pure. So I won't go into much detail, but just try to have some understanding the purity of the view of purity, and that's which is called the skillful, one of the skillful methods of Tantra. And if you kind of compare, okay, like for a Hinayana practitioner, one having the view of the selflessness of individual and having the right conduct, whatever is prescribed in the teachings, then one achieves self-liberation. So for Mahayana, having the view of the selflessness of not only just individual, but also the phenomena, and then having the right conduct prescribed in the Mahayana Sutras, then one practices the path and then achieves full enlightenment. Now, the Tantra and the general Mahayana, the difference between, one of the difference between general Mahayana and Tantra is that the time of achieving supreme enlightenment, the duration, you know. So in general Mahayana, it is said that it takes countless eons, like a very long time, to achieve supreme enlightenment. Whereas in Tantra, provided you have the right teacher, provided you have the right view, provided you practice well, then you can achieve supreme enlightenment in one lifetime. Like, it won't take long. Definitely there are, you know, difference of time frame within the tantras, but you know, the highest of them speaks about achieving supreme enlightenment in one lifetime. So I think you might have heard about the great Milarepa, the Tibetan yogi who achieved enlightenment, supreme enlightenment in one lifetime. So that is the skillful method of Tantra. Okay, so I mean, like, I would like to kind of like conclude the first part here about the differences, the main differences between the Hinayana path, Mahayana path, and the Vajrayana path. Of course, in detail, there are a lot of differences, but okay. So the next one is, now, what is the essence of Buddhism? Okay, you've heard about Hinayana, you've heard about Mahayana, you've heard about Vajrayana a little bit. Now, how to kind of how to understand the essence, like, you know, so that we can always think about it. Definitely, like, we can study a lot, but we also need to know how to condense it in a condensed form, so that it will be easier for us to practice. So therefore, like, in short, Lord Buddha has said, Digba chia mejashin gyawa phusum tsopar che rangi semni yongsu dul dine sangye tempa yins. The first line says, Digba chia mejashin, that means abstain from doing all the non-virtuous actions. Abstain from or restrain yourself from engaging in non-virtuous actions. Now, when you say non-virtuous actions or the evil actions, those actions which cause harm to others. That means in the spirit of non-violence, in the spirit of ahimsa, abstain from all kind of activities which brings harm and pain to others. That is the basic foundation of the, how to say, of a Buddhist practitioner. Especially, I mean, like, this is a kind of like, you know, a prerequisite or the basic ingredient, the basic qualities or basic qualification for a Buddhist practitioner. Abstain from all kind of harms to others, and abstain from all kind of negative actions that brings kind of like harm to others, especially. Digbachiam mechashing. Gyawa pisum tsoparche. Gyawa pisum tsoparche means engage in all the virtuous actions. Engage in all the virtuous actions. Now, virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind. Now, first we try to understand what are the negative actions. What are the negative actions? The negative actions are like in a how to say, roughly we can put all negative actions into 10. So all negative actions into 10 means 3 are related to body, negative actions of the body, 4 related to speech, and 3 related to how to say mind. So what are the 3 negative actions of body? So 3 negative actions of body are killing, then first one is killing, second one is stealing, and third one is for the lay practitioners abstaining engaging in sexual misconduct. So that is for lay practitioners, one should abstain from engaging in sexual misconduct. But for monks, for ordained sanghas, then abstinence from sex. So these 3 are the negative actions of body. Now, followed by the negative actions of speech. The negative actions of speech are like telling lies, then speaking slander. Slander, that means divisive speech, to speak something which can kind of divide people, like which can create disharmony between people. So that is tama, that is divisive speech. Then followed by harsh word. Harsh words are very harmful because it can kind of cut or the hearts of other people into pieces, so harsh word. We should always kind of abstain from using harsh word. Then the 4th one is gossip, like useless chatter. So 4 negative actions of speech. Then that's followed by the 3 negative actions of mind, which is first one is covetousness. Covetousness means like being attached, extremely attached to other people's things, possessions, and that is called napsen, covetousness. And then followed by harmful intent, nourishing harmful intent, like a wish to harm others. So if you kind of like nourish that, that is negative actions of the mind, action of mind. And then followed by wrong view. Now here wrong view is refers to wrong view especially refers to not having kind of understanding or trust in the law of cause and effect. Law of cause and effect is like, if you engage in virtuous action, happiness will ensue, happiness will come about. If you engage in negative actions, then you will suffer. So this is kind of understanding of that, and based upon that, then engaging in daily activities. Now, if you don't have that belief or trust that law of cause and effect work in that way, so you don't believe in karma. That means like you don't believe in your actions. So that is called wrong view. So kind of like one should abstain from this wrong view. So abandon all negative actions, abandon all negativities. Now, the second one is is like engage in all the virtuous actions. Now, abstaining from 3 non-virtuous actions of body, 4 of the speech, and 3 of the mind. So this, when you abstain, then what you call is you are kind of engaging in virtuous action. Or in another way, instead of killing, saving the lives of sentient beings. Instead of stealing, engaging in generosity, charity. Instead of engaging in sexual misconduct, practicing chastity, abstinence from sexual misconduct for layperson, and for monks or ordained, complete abstinence from sex. So that is virtuous actions of body. Then virtuous actions of the speech is like, instead of engaging in telling lies, speaking the right words, speaking truth. Then instead of engaging in divisive speech, then um, engaging in speaking words which can kind of reconcile people, right? Reconcile, like people who, those who are not in harmony, those who are in disharmony, speak in such a way that, you know, harmony prevails, you know, it creates harmony. So instead of harsh speech, speaking nicely, politely, gently. And then instead of gossiping, engaging in prayer or speaking words of, you know, that has meaning, that has kind of, how do you say, that can help. Then instead of nourishing covetousness, rejoicing in other people's, rejoicing in the fact that other people do have these kind of good possessions, or, and then instead of nourishing harmful intent, practicing compassion, practicing love. Then instead of nurturing wrong view, generating correct view. So that is, so these are the 10 virtuous actions. So this is called, after abandoning all the negative actions, engage in virtuous actions. The third one is like, the third verse is Rangisemni Yongsudil. That means like, tame your mind. Now, tame your mind is like, because body and speech are considered to be the servants of the mind. When the mind thinks, then the body kind of acts. When the mind thinks, the word kind of comes out, the speech kind of acts. So therefore, because the mind is the king, therefore tame your mind. That means like, if you kind of like, if you tame your mind, if you transform your mind, if you abandon the negative emotions, generate positive emotions, then naturally the speech and the body and the speech will kind of like fall into place. So therefore, Rangi Semni Yongsu Dul, perfectly tame your mind. Dini Sangye Tembayin. So this is the teachings of, this is the teaching of Lord Buddha. So therefore, like whatever I've explained, like regarding the Hinayana view, Mahayana view, Vajrayana view, or their whatever they practice, whatever the practice they do, can be included in these 3 lines. The 3 lines is like, abandon all the negativities, accumulate or engage in all the virtuous activities, tame your mind completely or perfectly. So this is the teaching of Lord Buddha. So I think like this is quite simple and easy to understand and easy to relate. So now I will devote a few kind of minutes to like how to kind of bring these words of the teachings of the Lord Buddha into your daily life. So in our daily life, we kind of, whether it is at home or at work, what is important for us is to, from our experience, like for example, from our experience, what we wish is a meaningful day, a happy day, a day without stress, a day without where you don't need to confront with people, fight with people, or engage in verbal abuses, or where you want kind of complete peace of mind. I mean, like, you don't want kind of, how to say, your mind to be disturbed, because if your mind is disturbed, then no matter how good food there is on the table, you won't feel like eating it. or even if you eat, you know you won't taste well because your mind is disturbed. If your mind is disturbed, then even if you kind of lie down on a kind of like a sofa, a very comfortable sofa, physically, like you won't kind of like enjoy it because your mind is disturbed. So in the same way, like no matter how much you are surrounded by material facilities, like if your mind is disturbed, then you won't have peace, you won't have joy, you won't have, you know, happiness. So therefore, like mind is very important. Like it is kind of like we don't need to kind of actually emphasize this point, because each and every one of us, like at some point in our life, we have experienced this, and we have learned from this as well. Definitely, like material facilities are important. Definitely, we need good health. We need money in our bank accounts. We need to be surrounded by friends and families, good friends, loyal friends. We need good food to eat. We need good, nice house to stay with all the modern facilities. We need a car. We need all the, what do you call, so-called, you know, standard of living. We say the standard of living in today's world. We need everything in terms of material development. But in the pursuit of all these facilities, which makes our life, which we feel that makes our life comfortable, happy, joyous, we should not neglect the fact that mind is also one of the most important kind of ingredients of a happy life. So therefore, like just as I mentioned before, like if your mind is disturbed, you won't sleep well. If your mind is disturbed, you won't taste the food well. Even if you won't feel hungry, or even if you eat, as I said before, you won't taste the food. There won't be any taste in the food. You may be surrounded by friends. You may be surrounded by all the facilities, modern facilities, material facilities. You may be surrounded by it, but there is no joy. There is no peace of mind. So therefore, from this, what we come to know is like it's very important for us to take care of our mind. It is very important for us not to neglect this particular thing, to work on our mind. Because if we don't work on our mind, if we let our mind to kind of wander or let it do whatever it likes, then like we won't have a happy life. We won't have peace. So therefore, it is very important to cultivate our mind. It is just like cultivate. Cultivate means like when we cultivate a crop, we have to sow the seed. First, we have to make the soil fertile. We have to sow the seed. Then we put water. We irrigate it, the land, and we need moisture. We need like timely rain, and we need kind of manure and fertilizers to put kind of like make sure that we kind of grow the crop well. The crops grow well, and we need to sometimes weed out, remove the weeds. So in the same way, we also need to cultivate our mind, the field of our mind. So for that, we need to know what are the weeds that are present in our mind, like weed. Like if we have too much weed, the crop won't grow. So the crop is like a joy or happiness, happy state of mind, and the weeds are like negative emotions. harmful emotions, destructive emotions like anger, for example. I think it's the most visible thing is like anger. So if we are like always, our mind is agitated and always angry, we won't have peace of mind. That is the weed that we need to kind of remove. In the same way, strong desire for things, you know. So if you have strong desire, when we don't achieve that what we desire, then what brings us is disappointment, disenchantment, distress, and depression and stress. So therefore, like, we have to kind of minimize the level of our desire. We have to minimize our anger. We have to minimize our pride, jealousy, arrogance. So slowly, when we work on our negative emotions, then what happens, like, our mind will be more stable, calm, and definitely, like, even though like we may not be surrounded by, I mean, like, so many sophisticated material, modern kind of equipments, modern kind of facilities, state-of-the-art technology, we may not have, but we'll have good sleep. We'll have what we eat, we'll have taste, and we'll have good sleep, and we'll have a good relationship with our friends and people who surround us. So therefore, it's very important to work on our emotions. That I want to. So what we can learn from Lord Buddha's teaching is, Lord Buddha has taught a lot about how negative emotion works and how it kind of arises in us. Like, for example, anger, when it arises in you, like, it arises as if it is protecting you, but at the end of the day, like, because of strong anger, like, you do something stupid and which you regret later. Some of you may say that, okay, in today's world you have to be aggressive, and you have to sometimes be angry, because if you don't have a very strong kind of how to say standpoint, people will bully you, people will kind of like walk on you, people will trample on you. You might think that way, but you may be in a situation, such situation, but like, you should not give in to anger, because you can show some faces, or you can say some harsh, I mean, like, strong words to kind of like defend yourself. But if you totally give in yourself to anger, then how to say, you will be intoxicated by anger, and you will kind of like do something really stupid. So therefore, like, try to definitely, like, if you need to show strong face or say a kind of like strong word, definitely you can do that, but kind of consciously knowing that you should not give in to anger. So in the same way, like, other negative emotions like jealousy, pride, arrogance, when they arise in you, then you should always check. You should always know that how it kind of affects your mind, how it kind of like how this disturbs your peace of mind. For example, jealousy. I mean, like, jealousy is very kind of a good example. Somebody is got promoted, or somebody has been able to buy a new car and have a new house, and you kind of like feel jealous about it. Instead of rejoicing, you feel jealous about it. And jealousy, what happens, like, it does not affect the other, it affects yourself. The moment the jealousy arises in you, you feel the pain. So instead of jealousy, rejoice in the good things of others, and rejoice in what you have. So therefore, in that way, like, these negative emotions, because it is within you, just kind of praying that, okay, may the negative emotions kind of like vanish, or may your teacher or your guru kind of help that, through his blessings, kind of through his or her blessings, like, may the negative emotions kind of like vanish or decrease. it won't work, because negative emotions are within you and you have to work on it. And you know better than, you know your mind. Nobody can know your mind better than yourself, you know. Of course, like the teachers with clairvoyance, they can know that. But I mean, like each and every moment, whatever you experience, how these negative emotions affects you, how it disturbs your peace of mind, how you kind of, through practicing love and compassion and through practicing upon positive emotions, how you can kind of transform yourself, you know. I mean, you know better, you know. So therefore, like, start from yourself and be attentive, be kind of like mindful, be vigilant innerly. So slowly, like, you can kind of work on your emotions, and as a result of that, you will be a much calmer, peaceful, happier person. Yeah. Now, when I say like peaceful, calm, and all these nice words, uh, it does not kind of, it may sound very nice and, you know, how to say, ideal, but it does not come like easily, and you have to work constantly. And the transformation that takes place is gradual, and you should not expect that in one day you will become a very peaceful and calm person. Like, you need to work definitely, like, again and again upon yourself, so that, you know, uh, then you can see the, you know, change or the transformation that takes place in you. So therefore, through your life experience, come to know that no matter, definitely material development is important, but at the same time you should not neglect your spiritual needs, because without taking care of your spiritual needs, without taking care of your mind, then one of the most important ingredients of your life, good life, happy life, will be lost. So therefore, like, uh, do not neglect this part, and then if you work on it, then definitely your life will be better than what it was before. So in this very kind of, in this 1 hour video, like, I can't cover everything, so I've tried to kind of like try to cover whatever I promised in the right short write-up. In 2 days, I spoke about a little bit about Lord Buddha's biography, how he came in this world, and what are the most important deeds or enlightened activities that he has done in this world. And then followed by how Lord Buddha's teaching spread to different parts of the world, and how it how many different forms of Buddhism evolved, what are their differences, like major differences. And today's, like, I spoke a little bit more about the 3 yanas, especially focusing on the view. And then finally, I talked about the essence of Buddhism in 4 lines, and then explain a little bit about it, and how to kind of like bring this teaching, essential teaching, into your life, so that your life will be blessed. So with this, I will kind of wrap up today's session, and I would like to dedicate whatever small merit that this activity of teaching online has accumulated. I dedicate it for the benefit of all sentient beings, for the achievement of enlightenment, for the achievement of liberation, for the achievement of peace and happiness in the minds of all sentient beings. May peace prevail, may peace prevail, may peace prevail. Thank you.